Welcome to How to Build a Lifestyle Business Part 1, The Value of Your Time. There are three things that I believe mostly determine the quality of your business and your life. The first is how you spend your time. The second is how much money you make. And the third is who you spend your time with, who you do your work with. So in this video, I'm going to focus on the first piece, is how you spend your time, because I found that when we make shifts in this area, it has incredible impact across your entire business and really across your entire life. So before we dive into some of the strategies and tactics that I'd like to have you do to prepare for reorganizing your time, and if you're in my Superstar Business Breakthrough Program, to really plan for the kind of business that you're looking to create next, is I want to share a concept called Parkinson's Law. Now, you may have heard of this before, but it may be a little different the way I present it. So Parkinson's Law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion, which maybe you know this law, maybe you've experienced it, which is when you give yourself a certain amount of time to do something, generally it takes that full amount of time to do it. So for example, remember back when you were in college and a teacher gave you a week to do a paper? Chances are you'd complete that paper the day before or the night before it was due. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. But let's say that same teacher gave you 2 days to do the paper. Chances are you'd get the paper done in 2 days. And let's say that the teacher gave you 1 hour to do the paper. Well, then you would have created that paper in an hour. The interesting thing about this is that not only does research show that when we limit the time to do something, we do it faster, but the really interesting part about this research, Parkinson's Law, is that when we limit the time to do something, we also tend to do it better. In other words, the results improve. So you would think that if you had less time to do something, you'd do a worse job at it, right? But actually, it turns out that when we limit time, we increase our focus and somehow we pull it together and we generally create better results. So why am I bringing this up in a conversation about lifestyle business? Well, I want to share with you a little bit about my own story because I think that this will illustrate it well and it'll set us up for the exercises that I want to do. So I used to be a workaholic. I used to work 7 days a week, early in the morning, late at night. I didn't take vacations. For years, I worked myself into the ground. And then, of course, like a lot of people, I had a breakdown. My health broke down. My romantic relationship broke down. And ultimately, my business broke down because it was not sustainable to be working at that pace for so many years. I started working with a mentor, reorganized my business model, and somewhere in that process, I decided, because I started getting in touch with my desires and my passions and my purpose, I decided that I wanted to take a 1-year-long road trip around the entire country. And I remember calling my mentor up and saying, Jake, I have this crazy thing that I want to do. I want to take a road trip for a year around the country. And I expected him to be like, Michelle, you can't do that. You're reorganizing your business right now. You need to stay focused. You need to hunker down and hustle. You know, I thought he was going to not let me do it, not let me, even though I was the client. But instead, he surprised me and he said, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love to see you do that. Let's figure out how we can make that happen. First of all, that was the first time in my life that somebody had really supported what I thought was a crazy idea of mine. But secondly, I was really excited to do it. What I did was I went and I organized my road trip. I said, all right, I'm going to spend these days driving to here, then I'm going to spend these days here, then I'm going to drive there. And I plotted out a rough sketch of my trip. But right away, when I started doing that, that meant that I had to be on the road for hours at a time. Sometimes in places, especially when I got to the Southwest, where I wasn't going to have cell phone service. So I started having to block out these huge chunks of time, 8 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours in order to do the driving from one place to the next. Lo and behold, the work still got done. Lo and behold, after a year of this, the business tripled, almost quadrupled while I was on the road. I was working less hours than ever before in my business, and my business grew. Why was that? Well, there were a lot of reasons, but one of them is that I limited the time available for work, so I had to make my work fit into the available hours. I limited the time available, and so not only did I do less work, the work that I did got more productive and better. And I reorganized my business model to fit in this smaller footprint of time. Now, before I move into the exercises, I want to invite you to take a moment, like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. By the way, before I get into this, I've now done this exercise with my business many times in many different ways, and it never, ever fails. Most recently, one of many recent times, I decided, for example, I wanted to take Mondays and Fridays off. So I was only working a 3-day work week. So I did that for a lot of months. Then later I decided, well, I actually don't mind working on Fridays. I like to start later on Mondays, but I want to take Wednesdays off in the middle of the week. So I have half a Monday, half a Friday, and I take Wednesday off. Basically, ultimately, what I've been doing is from now on, I look at me and I say, what would feel good? How would I like to be working? And then I basically just stick it in my schedule and operate around it. Another thing I started doing was, I used to start my day like everybody else at my official day at 9 a.m. I'd start meetings at 9 a.m. And then at one point, I was like, I'm not really much of a morning person. I much prefer to stay up late and wake up late. Maybe I'll start my days at 10 a.m. So I started doing that. That felt really good. And then I started doing meditation and yoga in the mornings and morning practices. My morning practice got really long, and I thought, well, maybe I'll bump my day back. I'll start at 11 instead. So I started doing that, and that felt good. So all along the way, I keep asking the question, what would feel good for me? What would bring energy to me? And then I built the business structure in my day around that. So that's basically the exercise I want to embark on with you today. Now, if you're in my Business Breakthrough Program, I have a worksheet to walk you through this. You can go ahead and download the worksheet from Thinkific. But if you're not, you can just put a grid on a piece of paper and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then have, times of the day starting whenever you want to start your day all the way, put different hours. And basically what I want you to look at is what would feel like an energy-rich week. If you could design your week however you wanted it, how would it look? And take another piece of paper and map out the year. January, February, March, April, May. Now, I personally like to do this with, years, and I like months this way, but I like to do week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. That's how I like to conceptualize visually my year, but you can do it however you want it. But what I want you to be able to do is see a week at a glance and a month and a year at a glance. And really start from when my life is ideal. What does my day look like? What does my week look like? What do my months look like? What does my year look like? So think about these questions, right? What time in the morning do you want to wake up? What time in the morning do you want to start working? What kind of work would you want to do on different days? Do you want to batch it? So you're doing certain types of work on Mondays, certain types on Tuesday. Maybe you do Wednesdays for marketing, Thursday for client meetings. You can design this any way you want it. In your year, do you want to take certain months of the year off? In your week, do you want to have Fridays off or Mondays off? I remember at one point I realized that I was so anxious about work. This was several years ago on Sundays because I knew that Monday morning was coming and I was dreading it. So I started to take Mondays off so that I could have a day to myself, like a self-care errand running day just for me when everything was open, like when, laundries were open and not laundries, alteration stores or whatever it is that I needed to get done. Think about your self-care, right? I know this might sound crazy, but in my calendar, I have lunch scheduled because I don't want to leave it up to chance that I won't eat. I have my meditation schedule. I have my morning ritual. I have my yoga in my calendar. I even have my private time with my parents. And when I travel for vacations, I block it out of my calendar. When I'm walking my dog, I have that blocked on my calendar every single day. So look at really what matters to you in your life. Put that in first. The self-care, the family stuff, the meditation, all of that, the things that are going to drive your business forward, like prospecting or generating speaking engagements. Get that into your calendar first and start to look at what is an ideal setup for you of how you invest your time. I hope this video was helpful for you in understanding how you can use Parkinson's law to your advantage limit the time available, get more done, be more efficient, and hopefully make more money in the process. If you found this helpful and you want to go deeper into the work that I do with clients, maybe even be a client if you're not already, check out superstarbusinessbreakthrough.com.